classical model of education is accessible to any who desire it. Whether you're a headmaster or teacher, or a board member, pastor, or parent, you have the capacity and capability. Perhaps your whole school is adopting the classical model of education, perhaps not. Yet there are incremental, modest adaptations you can implement that are not expensive, though they will require a shift in thinking and methodology. One of the most significant things you can do, and you can help others do as you are able, is to consider the higher goals of education. For example, what are the goals of a spelling test or punctuation exercise? It's not to achieve 100%, it's not to meet a state or school standard, and it's not to progress towards spelling 400 words correctly this year. It's clarity of communication, as well as cogent communication of the gospel. How about the higher goals of long division? Yes, we want proficiency, but what about seeing the order and beauty of long division? What about the learning of perseverance or the appreciation of attending to details? How do we see God through long division? In the exercise of reading, the higher goal is the understanding of Scripture, and there are others. As we endeavor to consider the higher goals of education, we affect a more humane education. Another adaptation in thinking can be undertaken regarding failure. As a society, we view failure as negative, yet working toward anything significant carries a risk of failure. Luther could have been concerned with his position or status or reputation, but he risked all of that for the sake of the gospel. Edison failed many times toward the invention of the light bulb, telegraph, and each of his inventions. I failed many times in the cooking of salmon, which many find easy to cook, yet I keep learning and I keep trying. Michael Jordan was excellent at sinking free throws because he practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced, and he missed a lot of shots along the way. We minimize the negativity of failure through the culture of our classrooms. I had a senior in one of my math classes who struggled with the geometry of physics. Over many months, we worked through various examples and exercises. I modeled many problems and approaches. The students modeled how they worked through the geometry. We explored many angles. But what I didn't do was allow negativity of the student toward himself and his abilities, though we did acknowledge the struggle, or from his classmates who had perhaps learned the concept several years earlier. We kept laboring, which can be messy. I also didn't just blow by him, hoping that someday it would make sense. The Wizard of Menlo Park did not fail 10,000 times. He found 10,000 ways that didn't work. In American education, we have an overinflated perception of the risk of failure. Additionally, our students benefit when we value learning over assessment results. Most of us have come to realize at this point that our educational system teaches to the test, that even the test standards we had have shifted to hide the lackluster results. Yet these practices continue. As an example, I was taught a trick in elementary school for dividing fractions. Number, don't be shy, flip yourself and multiply. And the trick was reinforced over the years without the ditty. I could pass the test because I knew the trick, but I didn't understand the why behind how it worked until my late 30s or early 40s, that it's a form of the identity law, and I had studied engineering in college. Once I learned why it worked, I could apply it in other places. I felt robbed. This checking off the box of things like learning to divide fractions robs both kinds of students. Those like me who learn and do the trick and follow the rules and succeed, but we have no understanding and no wisdom in how to apply it, as well as the others that seek the why from the beginning and are then frustrated without that answer and are stunted in their understanding. We ought to value understanding and wisdom over checking the box on a scope and sequence or answering a test question correctly. Now, don't take any of this to mean that content is not significant. It is. But when higher principles are attended to, the lower flow out. As Andrew Kern, who authored Classical Education, the Movement Sweeping America with Jean Edward Veith, mentioned in a presentation many years ago now, our children are souls to be nurtured, not products to be measured. Considering the higher goals, minimizing the perceptions of the risks of failure, and valuing learning over assessment are just a few of the ways to bring the humanity of classical education to any school or classroom.